Okay, I was gonna say, why is it not saying it's streaming? No, it should be streaming now. Let me check my phone. Okay, I'm just waiting for people to join before I start doing my reading. Hello, whoever's in chat. Welcome. Well, not chat, but watching. Welcome to the stream. Oh, it's the last one too. You mean Open Studio? It should be streaming, right? It should be streaming. Yeah, it is streaming. Okay, good. Live chat, please. Scheduled for today at 4:20. No, it's 4:22. I didn't start streaming at 4:20. No, I failed you, viewers. I didn't start streaming at 4:20. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on the music. There we go. Drama, mystery, alt universe, OC, adventure, MLP, FIM. Thank you. I didn't know that this website called Fanfiction had MLP, FIM fanfiction. Thank you. Let's turn that down a little bit. I can't wait to get copyright claimed by HSR or Hoyo. I should leave some service. Okay. No model today because I'm lazy and I want to set it up. But we will be continuing this. We will try and do 2 chapters again, maybe 3. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Chapter 3. The soul that was split into 3. I hate that title. Whether it had been hours, days, or weeks, the time when Covet awoke was unclear. The fresh air of the ward around him blew over his body quite graciously. He didn't notice it at first, but when he opened his eyes, the silhouettes of 2 other stallions were in view, both seemingly also waking up, as if the 3 of them had been unconscious for the same length of time around him. The open space of grassy plain stretched around them for some miles, mountains towering in the north with a forebode to their presence. That's okay. Forebode to their presence. Above them, a blue sky stretched for miles as the sun shone most brightly. Okay. Already get into this. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna need alcohol after this one. Spotting the other 2 stallions, he got up quickly. He didn't know them, barely only having known ponies beyond his father and brother. However, they looked familiar. Pegasus from the wings that were sprawled on the ground, his mane and tail matching in leaf green, like the leaves on an oak tree. The second of the 2 being green. At first, it wasn't obvious that they were a unicorn, but when they turned to look around, he saw the horn. It was curved, just like his was, although he hardly ever gave the curvature of his horn any attention. I feel like this is a statement about a different part. I'm gonna be so sure. I feel like the Christian allegations are not gonna be beat. The main color of this unicorn was almost identical to the Pegasus, as they both shared the same hue of green for their manes and tails. Once the pair of ponies found out that they were indeed not alone, they stood up as well, all of them taking the time to notice the similarities between the 3 of them. Whilst the unicorn looked immensely concerned, the Pegasus looked somewhat happy. Whilst he didn't feel as if he was either. He was very much in a state of confusion. His mind started bouncing into question after question before the unicorn broke the silence with a question. Who are you 2? The question being laced in tension and hesitation. Why did I just get a notification? Well, I don't know who I am, the Pegasus replied. The other 2 began to look at each other as they took in what the Pegasus had said. That is, before this time, Covet spoke. But to start off, I suppose I'm Prince Covet Dawndrop. Covet for short, although to calmness such as yourself, I would prefer your majesty or your highness, if you wouldn't mind. Such a pretentious dick. Such a pretentious dick. He said in this speech he had what could only be described as immense arrogance. The other two quickly looked at each other with confusion and astonishment as the unicorn spoke. But I am Princess Covet Dawndrop, the Pegasus chimed in. No, I am! Enough of this, Covet responded equally as protesting. The real Prince Covet Dawndrop is an alicorn. That would be me, see? The other two, however, looked him up and down, then they looked at each other once again. But you're an UF pony, the Pegasus then said. At first, Covet got extremely offended at this remark. How dare you! So I should dub this. This would be fun to dub. I'm gonna get people together to dub this for my channel. This would be fun. Is what he started with. That is until he noticed his evident lack of magic usage, alongside the fact that instead of not being able to fly due to the spell cast on him, he was just unable to fill in the existence of his wings at all. His offended feeling quickly turned into uncontrollable panicking. His wings and horn gone? But how? It was all such a quick realization. The other two also felt a sense of panic within themselves, but managed to hide it when they saw Covet, or rather, themselves having another reaction. I have 2 notifications now. The unicorn then chimed in, speaking with some reason to his words. Well, the last thing I remember is feeling like I had become 3 ponies at once. Maybe the spell that Blue Alicorn cast on us did something to us. Although, honestly, for me, I'm fine with it. It's not like it should be a problem for either of you. After all, being useless is what UF ponies and Pegasus are for. The unicorn adding an emphasis on the word useless to add sting to his words before the Pegasus and the now slightly less panicked UF pony looked at the unicorn with obvious surprise. What? Covet, the self-insult for the offer. It's just racist. I feel like that says a lot. I'm gonna be so for real. I don't think I would publish something with a self-insult of mine being racist. Just weird. Before you say it's not racist, so I know there's a point later where they use the exact same like pseudo-racism that they use in Harry Potter. So it's racism, quote unquote. Is that what I sound like? The duo then responded in unison. Both of them didn't quite believe what the unicorn had just said, but the unicorn simply scoffed. Oh please, where's your sense of pride? I suppose that went with any sense of rational thought as well, the unicorn then added at the end, specifically targeting those words at the UF pony. Definitely gave the unicorn a look of shock as he processed the words that were said, his mind bouncing to a small realization about himself quite quickly. Yeah, I also came to a conclusion about yourself very quickly. Well, there's no use standing here. I propose we follow the path through the mountains. Gives us adventure, eh? Not again! Not the A's! You're not Canadian! The Pegasus then responded. His words seemed to be an attempt to diffuse the tension that had built up in the conversation. When the UF pony and unicorn took a moment to think about what the Pegasus had said, they reluctantly just nodded, although the unicorn remarked, "Not like we have a choice," as he began trotting toward the nearest path that he could find. The Pegasus and UF pony followed right behind them, that being the start of their trail up the mountain and the start of their journey of exploration, however reluctant any of them was about said journey. I'll be honest, I feel like that should have been the end of the last chapter. That's a good end of chapter mark right there. I wish my mic picked up. By the time they had reached the beginning of the mountain path, it had been well over what any of them could have presumed to be the afternoon. What you could have presumed to be the afternoon. Imagine paying for that story. Imagine paying for that story. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. Imagine posting it all because somebody leaked it publicly. Couldn't be me. Where was I? I forget where I was. Oh. By the time they had reached the mountain path, it had been well over what any of them could have presumed to be the afternoon. That doesn't sound right. The sun moving accordingly, the path from the appearance alone looked rough and unmaintained, although when they gazed at how far it went, they could see that the fact it jutted out from the mountains itself showed it didn't really need to become pretty. Shame, it could use a touch-up, the unicorn commented. The two others simply rolled their eyes. The vanity clearly went to this one. The elf pony smirked to himself. Libraries are legal. Depends where you live. The libraries are both legal and not legal depending on where you live. Yeah, it's very debatable. The trio started their journey along the mountain path, taking care of the edges of the path. None of them talked for a little while, their hooves kicking rocks down the cliffs of the path. To just test how high in altitude they were going. At one point, the unicorn kicked the rock down the cliff. Watch it roll down. When he did, he tried to use his own magic to levitate the rock back. What? He kicked the rock down the cliff to watch it roll down. When he did, he tried to use his own magic to levitate the rock back down. What? He kicked the rock down, then used his magic to levitate the rock down. I'm gonna have an aneurysm. I feel the blood building in my brain is gonna kill me. Levitate the rock back down, wanted to keep it for himself as the reusable rolling rock. However, he couldn't do it. No matter what he tried, his magic wouldn't activate. Come on, the Pegasus then shouted as both the Pegasus and Elf Pony focused on trotting ahead, much to the unicorn's shock at not noticing. How long is this? Oh my god, we still got a while to go. Eventually, after trotting around the first few mountains, they were connected to, they were connected by the path. They noticed... Wait, that was connected by the path. They noticed a diversion in the road. The left part of the path. I am reading more people while you chose this life. Shut up! The left part of the path winded up the mountain until it couldn't be seen, whilst the right path ended up winding down and under the left part of the path that was presumed to eventually have winded around to a bridge far above the right side of the path. The path seemed to then lead to an old cave that was held up by aged wood from a faraway glance. How would you tell from a faraway glance? Like, my eyes are pretty good. How would you be able to tell from a faraway distance if wood's aged? Is it like rotting? If it's rotting, then it isn't holding up anything. It's just gonna fall down. This is just wrote by someone who doesn't know how wood works. If it's rotted to the point where you can notice it from far away, it won't hold anything up. It's going to fucking fall. I vote the left, the Pegasus instantly said as he waited for the other two to give their input on the situation. Well, I pick right, the unicorn then responded. Oh, so you want to sit there and go into a cave that could be home to a beast, do you? The Pegasus then asked. The unicorn then got defensive about his position. It's better than chancing it on that old bridge. Look at it. It's almost coming apart. I think I have to give the unicorn a pompous attitude because it's so pompous and racist. Fucking unicorn. This unicorn's funny. I like the unicorn just because it's a reflection of how the author sees himself, and it's funny. Pegasus rolled his eyes and then simply turned to look at the elf pony, who seemed to be raising an eyebrow. What do you think then, left or right? Excuse me? The elf pony then asked the Pegasus in response. Oh, don't tell me you turned out. Don't tell me you I can't read. To be fair though, this is painful to read. Oh, don't tell me you tuned out. You clearly heard my question. Yeah. It's better than chanting on that old bridge. Look at it, it's almost coming apart. I haven't done that voice in a while. Oh, where was I? I don't tell you to now, you clearly heard my question. The Pegasus then snapped back, clearly getting agitated. The elf pony was about to argue back when he looked upward after a snowflake touched his muzzle. Muzzle. Is a horse's face called a muzzle? I thought that was a dog. What is a horse's face? Would a snout be better? Like, you know, the long part of the horse's face. Is it a muzzle? I don't know. The other two looked up as well, noticing that a snowstorm had brewed above them before. Whoa, muzzle color. I'm gonna jump off the roof. The other two looked up as well, noticing that a snowstorm had brewed above them before any of them could question the presence of a snowstorm. However, a familiar bolt of ice magic hit the ground between the three of them. Yeah, between rocks. They all jumped backwards as a voice spoke, one they all remembered all too well from the coronation. Ah, there's my target. There's my 3 targets. Wait. There are my... What? There are my 3 targets, okay. I don't know if that's accurate. I've never seen it in a book before. Or in a fan fiction. Or in a game. Or in a TV show. It is muzzle, by the way, thank you. Instantly, the 3 of them looked in the direction of the voice and saw him. The blue alicorn that crashed the coronation had come back for them. Instantly, the elf pony felt an extreme fear taking over himself and shouted, "Run!" before galloping up the left path. Why would he go left? The other 2 swiftly following him in a mad dash to get away from the blue alicorn. Oh man, again, this is so riveting. It's putting me to sleep. Mad dash to get away from the blue alicorn behind them. They heard a repeating shout of what? Huh? Ichilus? How do you pronounce that? Insults about left-wingers. Well, the entire book is written by a left-winger. I don't have to insult anything. Which hold numerous spiked... Oh, it's Iciclus. It's Iciclus. I feel dumb. Oh. Isolus. which hurled numerous spiked icicle shards towards them. Thus, towards the three of them, the force of the icicles hitting the ground almost causing miniature earthquakes in their wake. If it's hold up, ice in my leftist book, nuh-uh, not allowed. Okay, I do want to point out, if something's hitting the ground with enough force to cause an earthquake, even if it's like miniature, like it very like to an area like it's describing, that's still enough force behind it to shatter that ice upon impact. The force it would take to cause the earth to shake, unless you are purposely shaking it with like a spell, would be so dramatic that it would cause that icicle to break on impact and probably launch out ice shards towards them, most likely killing them. Like, I understand magical water ponies, but you could maybe use some logic behind it. Even ice in most universes acts like ice in our universe. The unicorn took a moment for himself whilst galloping. He looked around, and to his delight, he saw boulders on a higher cliff. Above the path. Oi, Flappy, fly up there and push those boulders down. He then shouted at the Pegasus as he and the Apony continued galloping. The Pegasus looked up, and after seeing the boulders, began to flap his wings. To his amazement, his wings worked. Yes, because that's amazing. Your wings made for flying, working. And then quickly he flew up to the cliff. Once he landed on the cliff above the path, he pushed himself against the boulders. They were big, but slowly moved. The more strength he used, with a final big push after a moment of struggling, the boulders fell, crushing onto the path below and creating a wall that the icicles then hit. Because rocks are gonna stop an alicorn. They can fly. Crashed onto the path below and created a wall where the icicles hit. The Pegasus sighed in relief as he flew back down to the other two, who cheered to themselves in triumph. The triumph ended, however. Wings equal to flight in my Christian Minecraft server? I know, right? In this Christian Minecraft server, you can't have flying or magic. This entire book is blasphemous. I see the first of many spells. That triumph ended, however, when the ground behind them rained a violent and bitter blue storm of frost. The air around the spot began being frozen completely from the cold. The cold the blue brung. Wouldn't brought be more grammatically accurate? The spot being frozen completely from the cold, the blue brought. Wouldn't brought fit better than brung? Is brung even a word? Before they could rightly guess that it was the blue alicorn again, the three made a run for it to the bridge. One by one, they galloped across the halfway point when flames suddenly circled the other side. You aren't going anywhere. Another familiar voice echoed from the flames, as if nightmare had come true for the three on the bridge. It was the purple alicorn who stepped out of the flames. Why are you two trying to kill us? What did we do? The Apony asked in protest. Silence, the blue alicorn roared as rage seemed to fill both alicorns. You couldn't even put up a fight in that throne room. It's sad. You had all this time to learn magic in a safe and encouraging environment, yet you didn't. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Bounded time. it's not supposed to be. It's a waste of time. Bounded time. It's a waste of time in saying his name. But it's funny to me to think the guy is saying it's a waste of time. Bounded time. Like a pun. I hate that sounds better in my head. Because these villains are so fucking cartoony. The blue Alicon then added on. The three of them looked shocked. They knew they had a conversation with Stardew before the coronation about their lack of studying magic. A waste of bounded time. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that in a video later. Nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about until this one comes out, or maybe this one come out first and it'll be funnier. They knew they had a conversation with Stardew about before the coronation about the lack of studying magic, but how did the Alicorns know about that? Because I had to be bounded to be bounded to be wasting my time here. Arcane, if I recall. Let's go! Oh, I should probably mod Charlie. There you go. Arcane, if I recall, he said he only needed a levitation spell. Isn't that a lovely delusion? The purple Alicorn then responding with a surprising call to his words, given his usage of fire. Arcane and Dalasite, was it? The Earth Pony didn't ask. The other two looked at the Earth Pony as if it was alien to ask about the names of all things in the situation they were in. However, the two Alicorns humored him. The blue Alicorn responded, "Oh, look at that. Someone was paying attention," in a snide tone. I doubt knowing our names will help you now. After all, death is knocking on your doorstep. I feel like there's a song about a concept like this. About bringing hell to somebody's doorstep, maybe. The path below, if you hit it, is certain to break every bone in your bodies upon impact for an instant death. Well, technically speaking, you can break all your bones and not instantly die. It's unlikely, but it's a possibility. Dalasite then responded, "Oh, you're highly mistaken. We're not dying." The Pegasus didn't... Wait, what? Okay, wait. That just hurt my brain. Really not hurt my brain. Dalasite didn't respond. "Oh, you're highly mistaken. We're not dying." The Pegasus then retaliated. Dalasite, demonstrate that new spell you learned from him, from the tome he gave you. Arcane, interjected as if... What? Arcane then interjected. You forgot an N. As if rhythmically timed, Dalasite didn't utter a single incantation. Incantation is what I'm gonna do after I throw myself from my roof. Single incantation. Disaperium. 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 I'm gonna make myself Disaperium after I'm done reading this. Within an instant, the bridge, as if by complete erase. What? As if by complete erase. Erasure? Within an instant, the bridge, as if by complete erasure, vanished, making the trio fall into the supposed abyss. The two Alicorns looked down as they fell into a new... Was that fog always there? Dalasite asked Arcane in a curious tone. When I used my teleportation spell in anger, the cold magic must have naturally formed a fog. And magic is powerful after all. But I feel like he deserves an Airden voice as well. Arcane then responded. After a moment of seeing no movement, the two Alcons headed off, presumably back from where they came. Number one rule: always check the bodies. If you don't see a body, they're probably not dead. Cartoony villains. Meanwhile, down below, the three were laying on the floor in the nick of time. That was close. That was a close one. In the nick of time, the unicorn had managed to gather enough magic to perform a spell that stopped their momentum before they hit the ground. If you stop your momentum in the air, you still get hit with the momentum. Therefore, they should die. They should still be dead. Before they hit the ground, the three. I'm back. Start over. Eat a dick. The three of them waited as they heard the two Alcons teleporting away. Don't know how you hear a teleportation spell. Slowly, the fog lifted enough for them to see the entrance to the cave that the right path wound up to. I feel like just going right would have been the better choice to begin with. Because who in their right mind's gonna run after somebody in the cave? How did I pull that off? The unicorn asked himself as he got up. Probably something to do with magical theory. I remember I was reading about intense emotions unlocking magic or something along those lines. The Pegasus then responded. Oh wait, that was the unicorn. How did I pull that off? The Pegasus then responded. Well, let's get. I should do a double this, but I'm covered in all three of the other covers. I can just argue myself. Well, let's get in there and see where it leads before those two come back. Last thing we need is to die before we even know where we are. The Elf Pony then chimed in, trotting into the cave with a slight struggle. The unicorn was able to illuminate his horn enough to light the way as the other two entered the cave. To the unicorn's surprise, the cave was not a dead end. The cave continued for a long time. Unlit torches and wooden pillars stretched across the roof of the cave, most likely for cave-in prevention. Except if it's rotten to the point where you can see it from far off, it's probably gonna cave in. It was unnaturally warm for something so high up. It didn't appear as if the path they were following was sloping downwards, although they caught glimpses of the eventual inside of the caverns as it opened up. The wind couldn't reach this place so far in. The torches within were lit. However, unlike the warmth of the red flames of a fireplace, a flame akin to aqua blue flickered patiently. Minecraft seemed scattered about within the open space, strewn from the minecart tracks from where they were once situated upon. Pretty big for a shoddy mine. I'm not gonna keep doing that. It's funny, but I'm not gonna keep doing that. The unicorn spoke in surprise. But it's so stuffy in here, the Pegasus remarked. Let's focus on finding a way out, you two. The Elf Pony then responded. The Elf Pony noticing that the open area also held a second floor as well as a path that definitely led downwards. When I look at the torches descending downwards, however, he saw no immediate path up to the second floor. Maybe you could fly up there? Hey, pompous, arrogant unicorn, you take the lower route, I'll check around here, the Elf Pony proposed with a joke tone to the part targeted at the unicorn. The unicorn seemed to take offense to this, however, responding to the Elf Pony. Yeah. As if I wanted to hit you down with the Mudlove and the Airhead anyway. Before storming off, little static bits of magic surrounding his horn as he went off down to the lower level. Was that the best thing to add on to Pegasus? Asked, some concern in his voice. It's not my fault he's acting like he is. But it is your fault. That's you! Yeah, pony chimed in. However, before he could continue, Pegasus responded quickly. That doesn't mean we have to stoop to his level. We're all worried, and to be honest, seeing him is a bit of an eye-opener. I assume you already know that. The elf pony took a moment to roll his eyes as he took a heavy sigh. Look, I'm not saying you meant to do damage with what you said. Even I could tell you were joking, but he's going to take time to receive his wake-up call. He'll come through, I hope. The Pegasus then added on. Come through to what? Being more racist? Why do these three have such one-dimensional personalities? Also, teleportation spells in MLP do make sound, but it's relatively quiet, so it should be impossible for them to hear it from far distance. Well, they have one-dimensional personalities because that's what they are. They are fragments of Covet Dawndrop's personality. The unicorn is his arrogance, obviously. The elf pony is his... I don't fucking know. He's mostly arrogant and obnoxious. So I guess the elf pony is the obnoxious one. And the Pegasus is... I don't know. There was no good quality in Covet. I'm gonna be so thrilled. I don't know why this Pegasus is neutral. Do you really believe that? The elf pony responded, immediately catching on to the tone of doubt in his voice. Well, however, the Pegasus couldn't think of a response that was true. He didn't know if that was actually something that would happen. Still, he had some hope. If he could receive that wake-up call, what was stopping him from receiving it too? In the elf pony's mind, however, he counted the Pegasus' failure to finish his sentence as him being right. Actually, I'll just arrogant. Instead, the Pegasus. The Pegasus is just neutral. Both the elf pony and unicorn are arrogant. That's true. They do act like the stereotypes of other pony aces. He trotted off, simply muttering, just find a way out of here. The Pegasus took a moment to himself as he flapped his wings and made his way to the second floor. Once he landed, his gaze was immediately drawn to the plaque on the wall, reflecting the light from the blue torches around him. When he got closer, he noticed that it read, no, not more puns. Whistle Heights Mines West Branch. Whistle Heights Mines. Never heard of it before, the Pegasus said to himself. In Australia, the Pegasus said to himself, in Australia, the three main islands that made up the continent were fully explored. Except, I don't think that's accurate in Oceania. I think there's more than 3 islands in Oceania. That's so very unlikely there's only 3 islands that make up a continent. That's just unlikely. Continents are big. What is... Oh, here it is. Ponies on the island were content with their lives. There was little of value in regard to exploring the wider world. However, in this new land, the ponies seemed to have abandoned this place altogether. Was it a result of getting what they wanted from it? He didn't know. The names are like that because I know why it's like that. I understand why it's like that, but like, why do you have to subject me to it constantly? This is the 4th time I've had to read one of these dumbass names. In 2 chapters. I've had to read so many of these names in 2 chapters. Calm down. I don't need to read another pony pun for a while. He took a further look around on the 2nd floor. The Pegasus, seeing that there were indeed other pathways, he flew quickly through each one. And I'm tired. I keep yawning. This book is so riveting. I keep yawning. It must be so very, very exciting. How's my music going? I want to see how my music's going. What song's on? I'll be honest. I don't think you will know what music I'm listening to. It's okay. I'll read AOC in the background to make this a little better. Will it be a little better? Each one only to be disappointed by cave-ins and dead-ends. What he did find, however, at the end of his 3rd pathway was filled was a filled minecart. The minecart held raw gemstones in the dozens, easily, all in different colors. Reds, yellows, blues, purples, pinks, and the occasional white. I don't think there would be blues. I believe sapphires grow or are formed near volcanoes. You're writing this as with Ronald McDonald as the main character. What will he split into? These split into what? Sweet, acidic, and sour. What will Ronald McDonald split into? Big Mac. Fish fillet and chicken sandwich. Would it be chicken nugget? Would it be chicken sandwich or chicken nugget? He didn't know how he was going to show the others, but he took a few to show the other 2, so they knew he was telling the truth. Grimace shake. Grimace can be the bad guy. Well, we're rewriting it with Ronald McDonald, so it wouldn't be My Little Pony anymore. We'll just take the premise of it and turn it into a Ronald McDonald fanfiction instead. So Big Mac is acceptable. But Grimace has to be the bad guy because it's McNugget, fake McDonald's fan. It's McNugget, fake McNugget. How about you, Mick, eat a dick? Meanwhile, the elf pony was on the ground floor. Oh, I just realized this is symbolic. The unicorn went to the bottom floor, the elf pony stayed on the ground floor, and the Pegasus went to the 2nd floor. Each one represents the ponies and the different like benefits. Speaking of the bad guy, which one did you claim the author made? It's not based off me. Apparently, it's based off her father, which, seeing as it acts like I do, in my opinion, whenever I'm in the Go-Get character, I'm still... I don't like the fact that it's wrote like that. I really don't like the fact that it's wrote like that. I'm a big right into McDonald's fan. I'm sure we'll see him eventually. I think he's at the end of this chapter or the end of the next chapter. I think we'll see him soon. So, you can say something. Go ahead. Just make sure it's not against YouTube TOS. What was I? Oh. Meanwhile, the other pony on the ground floor, he had found some old bags lying around and figured they would come in useful. Check Discord. I'm looking at Discord. I'll look at Discord after I read this part. They're becoming useful if they need to travel constantly. Finding some leftover things in the bags. These bags containing things like money pouches with a few gold coins in each of them. He counted a total of 27 gold coins. Why 27? It should have been 26. As he sorted through the silver coins and bronze coins out, they were also in the money pouches. It was hard to see because of the blue, but he counted roughly 64 silver coins and 39 bronze coins in total. Another thing the elf pony found was a mirror. While it's correct, he was finally able to get a look at himself. From what he could make out, he was pale yellow in coat color, his main match and the others in green, albeit in a more dull shade. It sort of reminded him of a lemon. Which is when you get an idea. He didn't know what to call himself in this elf pony body. He couldn't waltz around as Prince Covet Dawn-Drop. He'd probably be looked at like some crazy individual. He realized the other two resembled fruit in their colors too. The Pegasus as an orange, whilst the unicorn a lime. It was his little way of at least trying to see if he could adjust to the body he was in. So he opted for his own name of Sour. Sour Lemon. Sorry. I had a stroke reading the sour. The name Sweet Lime and Acidic Citrus in his head, noticing that the Pegasus could have easily resembled clementine or mandarin, all fruits that still counted as citrus fruits. All of you are citrus fruits. Lemon, lime, orange, mandarin, clementine, all of these are citrus! Each one of them thinks they are covered because they are split. The sweet acidic sour. How about you? Yeah, that's right. But my favorite names. I'm gonna fire myself out of a cannon. But, as I was saying, but how fast they realize what's happening changed. I think the Pegasus realized very fast, meaning he's probably the intelligence of Covet. The elf pony figured out second, meaning he's the reason of Covet, and the last one is just everything bad. Also, limes aren't sweet. An orange is sweet. A lime is not. At the same time, the unicorn found his way down to a dead end. A door stood in his way that was made of stone, adorned with a heart-shaped gem in the center of the door. The unicorn looked around, trying to see if there was a clue as to how to open the door. That's when he caught sight of a sign he had missed on his way in. I don't know how he missed the sign. He quickly trotted over to the sign and read it to himself. The sign reading, "Only one with the mastery of body and mind can tame the door to the mountain soul." The unicorn thought about this for a moment. Mastery of body and mind, he frowned to himself as he couldn't work his way around opening the door. After a few minutes of failing to open the door, the unicorn just dismissed his attempts, realizing that for what he saw, he had indeed reached the dead end. He then began trotting back. He was still angered by the opponent's comment about his pompousness. He couldn't be pompous or arrogant. He couldn't possibly be in the wrong about what he said to him. He was... man, this seems like a very, very similar situation we're currently dealing with. Doesn't it? Being wrong about what he said to him. He was very much in the right, admiring that he still had access to his magic. How long? Oh God! When the unicorn got back, he saw the Pegasus and Up Pony together, just sat here talking like old grannies. Okay. Oh. No, that was dialogue. Okay, good. Just sat here talking like old grannies, did you? The unicorn chimed in as he cut the conversation short, as if you don't belong in a retirement home yourself. The Up Pony began to respond. However, the Pegasus decided to cut the conversation short with a slight hit to the Up Pony. No matter how right he thought the Up Pony was, they needed to stay together. If they all believed they were the same pony and had the same memories, then they all must have shared the same body. Right, so in terms of exploration, I found a whole bunch of gemstones we could take with us. If we could sell them, I reckon they'd be worth a fortune. As for Sour the unicorn asked for confusion. Alright, Sour here decided to give us a name, since we're technically different ponies right now. Sour thought it was best to give us names. My name is Acidic Citrus, and provided you're okay with it, you have the name Sweet Lime. The Pegasus... ironic name. The unicorn's the worst one out of the bunch. Like, this is irony. The unicorn is like the least sweet of them all. The pompous, arrogant asshole is called sweet. Okay. The Pegasus responded as he looked at the unicorn with eager anticipation of its acceptance to the new name. Sweet Lime? What is this, a supermarket? Surely something like mint, but before the unicorn could finish, he was interrupted. Why not just pick random new names? I'm okay with the idea of, oh, we look like fruit, so we better call ourselves fruit names. But like, don't make one Sweet Lime and make them the most obnoxious one out of the bunch. Don't make one sweet and then make them the obnoxious one. So what did you find? Was what Sour decided to ask, emphasizing the use of the word you as he asked his question. Well, for one thing, there was this weird message about body, mind, and a mountain soul, as well as a door with a big gem to boot. The unicorn responded, acidic thing cut in. I think I saw an exit outside this place on the second floor, but how are you supposed to get up there? He asked himself, not realizing he was speaking aloud. So Sweet Lime's is still inside. Got it. Oh, honestly, don't you remember? We know, or rather, I know levitation spells. So let's see. These minecarts could be a staircase, the unicorn responded. However, Acidic and Sour will focus on something else that had emerged from where Sweet had emerged from. When Sweet turned around, he was overwhelmed by the blue light coming from the area. What they were seeing were the spirits of miners. Spirits? Sour asked himself with a very slight chill at the back of his spine, like a spider to a web. Didn't need to be like that, but okay. Everyone is a self-insight. This is just a weird leaked self-RP. Isn't that what all writing is, if you think about it? Minus? No. Miners, not ORS. It's spirits. So I asked himself for a very slight chill of fear creeping up the back. Okay, that's sweet. Get those minecarts in order. I'll wait on the second floor. Acidic said to himself as he flew up quickly, but not before taking a bag that Sarah had left next to him without hesitation. I hate you. Acidic reached the minecart he had seen before and filled the bag up. Slowly the bag bloated in size, and while it was slow to carry, the Pegasus was able to lift it. By the time he got back to the other two, a minecart staircase had already been built. Sweet was already up on the second floor. Sal was struggling to get up as he stumbled his way on up. When the up pony... Say the names now. What the up pony didn't see was that the spirits had started moving at a quick pace. Sweet was just able to pull Sal up as the spirits nearly missed grabbing him, swiping their hooves at them fiercely. Oh, that's gotta be really scary. Just all the pony hooves swiping at you. That's so scary. I don't know how to get. I don't know. Honestly, I'm having shivers right now reading it. Stupid ass story. Let's go. What's in that? Sal asked as he gazed at the bag that Acidic had. Our ticket to being rich, to having limitless money so we don't have to worry. These gems are probably worth a whole fortune, Acidic responded. Sweet and Sarah looked at each other with a look of concern without talking any further. The three of them began heading towards the last tunnel, leaving the spirits behind for the time being. The tunnel was long and narrow, torches being unlit as they could start to feel wind coming from what they had hoped was an exit. All three of them galloped toward the direction they were going. They all stopped, however, as they noticed that the path was broken up ahead. Sweet looked acidic and then Sweet looked acidic, then the gap before speaking. Lift us over, is what Sweet ended up saying. Lift you both over? Acidic then protested. Sal, however, noticed the spirits approaching. They had apparently caught up to them as they were floating closer. As they floated closer and closer. We don't have time for an argument. They're right behind us, Sal then shrieked. But the gems! Before Acidic could respond, Sal injected. Forget about your stupid gems. We're about to die. What he said, Sweet added on. In Acidic's mind, carrying the gems was something that was good. It was sustainable. It prevented them from going moneyless. Still, threat of death was imminent if the spirits caught up to them. He debated in his mind for a couple seconds before Acidic snapped back to reality. He needed the other two ponies more than he needed gemstones. If there was any chance of them all becoming one again, I'm right behind you, aren't I? I'm right behind you, aren't I? They all become one again. He'd need the other two. Fine. But you levitate yourself over, he said to Sweet. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. I'll levitate myself over and not die. Hee hee hee. Sweet responded as he used his own magic to bring himself across. He had a hunch about the gems that he managed to get Acidic to leave behind, but needed to test it. He could have probably used his own magic to bring it across, and could have used his magic to get all three of them across, but decided to relent on that option out of uncertainty as to whether or not it would work. After touching down on the other side, Acidic and Sour floated on over, Sour being carried by Acidic. Now then, let's see if I was right, Sweet said to himself as he watched the spirits. When the spirits got to the bag, they stopped, simply staring as they all surrounded it. They didn't seem aggravated by the three ponies anymore, which made Sweet grin to himself. They wanted the gems. That's what they were after. That's why they were after us. I thought it was odd that they didn't appear to you had those gemstones and mentioned the rest of them. Sweet explained. Before they decide to prove you wrong, let's get out of here. Sour didn't respond as he galloped ahead of the other two. The other two following. The Acidic was upset to have left a fortune's worth of gems behind, but he had to accept the fact that if he hadn't let go of the gems, they'd all probably be dead. They'd all probably be dead. Probably. But it took another minute or so to reach the outside, but when they did, they could see the sunlight. They could see the sunlight. They could see that they were now near a coast. Not too far off, they saw a city, which is where the three of them decided to head to now that they were out of the mines. Okay. That was a lot. It's time for my review of the chapter. It started off alright, I guess. It could have been better. Overall, I'm gonna give this chapter I guess a 4 out of 10. It's not the worst, it's not the best though. Like it's not better than the first chapter, which is what you'd want as chapters go on. It's for them to be better than the previous ones. Let's read the office notes now. Oh, it's just explaining that. Oh, I'll explain that. We don't need to do that. Hey, a chapter I can kind of compliment. This one was really fun to write in the moment, if I'm honest. I remember this one being fun to do, having the three of one character that had personality. Okay, no, it's just low. Like overall, it's not the worst chapter. It's not the worst writing I've seen. The ending of the chapter is pretty rushed. But like this chapter is how many words? Let me see. Is this one of the longer chapters? No, it's not. We're not to the longer chapters yet. That's the first long chapter. There's gonna be a video on its own. Well, a stream all on its own. Right. Well. Chapter 4, the city and the coast. We'll give it a minute, like always, so I can make it easy to cut. Ooh, Caleb uploaded a new song. I'll be listening to that later. I need to find a new lo-fi track, because this one will not last another chapter. This will not last another one. We'll do this one. Okay. Chapter 4. City and Coast. It had been about an hour since the three ponies had begun trotting. Sweet groaning every so often and complaining about the events in the mines. Acidic and Sour, in their annoyance with this, had told Sweet off for what appeared to be purposeful and disruptive complaining. Sour had also realized that he had forgotten what he had found in the mines during the spirit debacle. But he figured his life was worth far more by default. By the time they had made it to the outskirts of the city, the sun had started to lower in the sky. The sky having begun to add a hue of orange to its color palette. No, they're gonna do what I think they would do. What they think they're gonna do. I hate this. Oh, thank Crimson we're here. Now, for the love of all things, can we please take a break? They're treating the father as a god. Celestia makes sense. Because they can't say, oh god. You look like a normal fanfiction user. You thought wrong. Who said that? Who says a normal fanfiction user? I think the Royals also say it. No one. Okay. Can we please take a break? Is what Sweet had shouted as the other two groaned themselves. Sal and the city having become so annoyed that they began replicating the behavior they experienced out of spite. You can take a break, but it's not like we're going to have a pleasant night out in the cold. That's to come. It's not like we have a pleasant night out in the cold. That's to come. Sal responded with sarcasm. Sweet, not catching on to the sarcasm, decided to respond back. Well, if you two can look for some sleeping bags, we can. But before Sweet could finish, Acidic had picked up a rock from the ground and lobbed it at Sweet. Sweet yelling out in pain at the force of the throw. And that's when something strange happened. Last time I was... I'm not reading that on YouTube, but man. That's when something strange happened. As if it was synchronized, the other two also ended up yelping out in pain. Sal and Sid quickly looked at each other, however, to the pair's surprise, Sweet was the one to point out what had happened. So YouTube felt that as well? Payback, I suppose. Although it's weird how is a unicorn like me linked with you? He asked both the other two and himself. I think we already answered that ourselves when we woke up today, Sal ended up responding with. Since the three of us are technically one pony, I believe that both our emotional feelings and physical experiences are connected with each other. I'm not making my joke. I guess that's how you, or rather all three of us, were able to stop our velocity in the face of sudden death. There being the catalyst for the magic, I think. Acidic didn't hypothesize when Sour and Sweet had taken it all in, however, they just shook their heads in confusion. Simplify that, Acidic, Sour responded with a great strain on his mind. They are all covered. Their soul is still linked, so they feel all the pain the others feel. But physically, they are different. Think Tribios. Think Tribi. You know how Tribi walks? This is the poor man Tribios, because Tribios actually had a good story. Where was I? Oh, so I was right. The Pegasus is the smart one. And then Sour seems to be the reasonable one. And then the Unicorn is just arrogant. It appears my assumption was originally correct. Sour is one with a great strain on his mind. Instead of carrying this, took a moment to think about how he would shorten what he said, specifically for the other two. Oh, sorry. What I mean is that we're all one unit. Any damage to ourselves or any emotions we have are shared with each other. At least again, I think. Is what he ended up summarizing. You do go on too much, Sweet ended up responding, clearly exhausted from both explanations. Regardless of how exhausting he found them, however, he had a certain level of understanding as to what he had heard. Well, at least you managed to make it, well, manageable, I suppose. Sour added on, this in turn made Acidic continue apologizing as they all trotted into the city. Added with the repeated "don't worry about it" from Sour, and the three were suddenly headed into interesting times as they headed into the city. They started noticing the streets becoming filled with ponies walking around and trotting to whatever place they needed to go to. It was suddenly overwhelming for the three of them. I'm overwhelmed reading this. You'd think the streets here would be less packed. This place looked so small, Sour exclaimed, his expression being one of shock. Yes, well, unfortunately for me, this city doesn't seem to have many unicorns. It's just filled with Pegasi and Uff ponies. Sweet lamented to himself, adding on a tinge of spite to his words that seemed to be focused toward the other two. The other two simply rolled their eyes with even more annoyance than before as they all trotted onwards. The unicorn's just racist. Now, the unicorn's just racist. That's all it is to it. The unicorn is just a racist. What Acidic took in intelligence was from a Sweet. So Sweet is just arrogant and racist. Around them, buildings made from red and maroon. Maroon is red. Maroon is red. Buildings made from red and maroon bricks stood. Most were houses with few places in the path. They trotted through. Being shops and actual community areas. Some cafes, 2 bookstores, and restaurants. When what they saw, they nearly bumped into ponies as they trotted past these places. The unicorn would not say BLM. Ah yes, the 3 cores of Covet's personality. Intelligence, reasonability, and racism. It's IRR. You know, it makes up all of Covet's personalities. IRR. Where was I? Where was I? With Acidic and Sour apologizing about the incident, however, Sweet just glared at any pony who even so much as got close to him. Specifically at the Uff ponies and Pegasi that trotted around them. He maliciously repeated his words as he stated, "It's all just Uff ponies and Pegasi." And the other two looked at each other. Can you stop? Can you stop? So what if they're just Uff ponies then? But before Sour could finish his protest, Sweet interrupted. "Oh yes, of course. I'll stop doing what we would usually do. Again, you lack pride. First off, I will get into a pride rant in a minute. Where was I? You lack pride. Where does you lack pride? You lack pride that you'd have your true form." He protested in return. Sour loudly sighed in futility as Acidic tapped Sour with his hoof. "What Sour angrily asked, obviously anger that had built up, being released, taken out on Acidic. Sour immediately realizing what he'd done, tried to apologize. I'm sorry, it's just, but before he could finish, Acidic had begun flying off. No, Vegeta isn't racist. He hates everybody but Saiyans equally. So he can't be, he even hates Saiyans. He hates anybody that isn't himself equally. He's not racist. The difference between Vegeta's pride and this unicorn's pride is Vegeta's pride is based in strength. Strength that his species had built for years. This unicorn's pride is in a form that he doesn't even have access to. Yeah, Vegeta's pretty narcissistic. I'll be so real. Vegeta is pretty much a narcissist. But he's the good kind of narcissist that does learn from his mistakes and stops being a narcissist the further along the story goes. I do not think that is the storyline of this, though. If you're going to shout at me, then I'm off. He shouted down at the landlocked pair as he flew towards the beach he saw on the coast. His silhouette disappearing over a building a few streets ahead. Sao and Sweet looking at each other with both anger and worry. Both took a moment to compose themselves. Sao ended up being the one who spoke first. Let's go find him. He couldn't have gone far. If we must, Sweet responded, a clear annoyance laced in his tone of speaking. Sao, trying to ignore this, started trotting in the direction Acidic was flying. Meanwhile, Acidic had landed on the beach already, and it had taken just a moment for him to find a place he liked on the beach, and decided to sit there for a bit. Not too far away from him, however, he noticed something, or rather, some pony, painting on a canvas, a raspberry type of hue to his mane. His tail and parts of his mane were a mess, and he had what appeared to be a brush balancing between his ear and mane. His coat color being reminiscent of Sour's coat color, the resemblance to Sour extending to the fact that Acidic couldn't see a horn or wings, so he presumed he was an elf pony. He kept hearing just a dash, that color. No, this one for sure. Maybe this color? As he decided to get up and approach. Hey, excuse me, Acidic began. What are you painting? The elf pony turned his head for a second before speaking. And who are you? Acidic noticed that upon a closer look, the elf pony had lavender-colored eyes. They reminded him of some of the gems he wanted to take from the mines they were in earlier that day. Man, they all just split the worst traits, and Sweet just drew the short end of the stick and got arrogance and racism. Oh, me? I'm called Acidic. Acidic Citrus. What's your name? Cluttered Canvas. Okay, that's acceptable, I guess. I don't like it, but it's acceptable. An artist and owner of the Canvas Corner on Highbuck. Fuck me. Highbuck Street. Not too popular, but it's what I like. Is what the elf pony responded with, speaking with passion as he mentioned his store. Cluttered Canvas. Nice name, I think? Acidic didn't respond. Acidic nor the other two had any real interactions with any pony beyond their father and brother, rarely striking conversations with gods back in Main Australia. Even then, as covered, he'd only speak to the youth. Oh my god. Even even then, as cover, he'd only speak to the unicorn god, something that started weighing on his mind. That was until Cluttered spoke again. Even as cover, this man was racist towards our ponies and Pegasi. Cover's just not a good person at all, like I said originally. He's just a bad person in general. Well, you asked what I was painting, right? Is what he asked the Acidic, snapping out of his own thoughts, responded, "Oh yeah, I did. Well, take a look then. After that, let me finish it. I'm gonna sell it for a fortune. It's my best piece yet." Cosmic be like. Halada told Acidic when Acidic looked at the painting, he could see the coast in front of him, with a few buds flying over the ocean. However, the sky was a horrid shade of brown. This confused Acidic immensely as he went to ask about it. Is the sky meant to be brown? No, sadly that's the consequences of adjusting the coloring to the time of day. It was lunch when I started, now the sun is began to set, Cluttered responded as he sighed. Well, if you could fix the sky, you could make this painting really great, Acidic pointed to Clutter. Here, use the brown to your advantage. Try painting with the color you have now, using brown as the edge color, and then you could pass this off as a look at an X before Acidic finished. However, Clutter interrupted. And how much do you know about art anyway? It's my painting, he protested. I know. I was just suggesting. There you are. God, all of these characters are just obnoxious. Cosmic can only write one character, and it's the pompous ass. Oh wait. Okay, what was I? Acidic turned around before he could finish his sentence and saw Sour and Sweet approaching. Acidic rolled his eyes as he waited for them to come closer. Before Sour spoke, at the same distance as Acidic was from Cluttered, why did you fly off? What if Arcane and Dowside came back? You could have been killed. If you die by your words, we die. Sour shouted, clearly having what was I? Shouted, clearly having worry in his voice. Cluttered, looked at Acidic and simply asked, "Who are they?" Before Sweet responded, "Whirlprint out." Sour had hit his front leg as he took over. "My name is Sour Lemon. This is Sweet Lime. We're brothers. We traveled to this city from a place, let's just say, far from here." He explained. "Is that so? Well, it's nice meeting you three. I'm gonna head back to my house and." But before Clutter could finish the sentence, Acidic cut in. "Well, I was wondering if we could stay at your house. We have nowhere to stay, is the thing." This is so There's nowhere to stay. Can we stay at your place? I know you just told me to fuck off, but can we stay at your place? Please? Please? Please, Mr. Quada. I promise I'll be nice. Cluttered seemed confused. Nowhere to stay? You're not pulling my hoof, are you? Generally have no place to stay? That's right, Sour responded. It'd only be temporary, I promise. Cluttered looked at Acidic, then Sour, and then Sweet. Then he took a few moments to think about his decision. The three ponies were anxious for a reply of any kind as they waited, seconds feeling like hours. Cluttered then looked at Acidic, and responded, "Only if one of you can carry the easel." Those things are heavy. Hey, Pointy, do you think you could carry it? Acidic and Sour turned to look at Sweet, who seemed very offended at the question. "You expect me to use my magic to serve the likes of you?" Sweet began, however, he backed down when he looked at Sour and Acidic, who both looked like they could have killed her looks alone. "Fine," Sweet finally responded as he lit up his horn. The easel The easel after Clutter had saved his painting from falling into the sand, moved in the air. What? Falling to the sand after moved in the air and hovered next to the unicorn. Can you let me take my painting off first? Clutter shouted with anger and panic in his voice. Sour and aesthetic looked at Sweet, to which Sweet responded, "Fine," with a severe fake smile coming from his mouth after he had finished. After Sweet had done this, Sour spoke, turning his attention toward Acidic. Acidic, look. I apologize about what happened earlier. Sour, however, just couldn't finish as Acidic, not even looking at Sour anymore, just responded with, "Let's get going," before he and Clutter began trotting. Sour and Sweet looked at each other. Sweet, grinning to himself, simply said, "Maybe now you'll see I'm right. Pegasus are too emotional." "Hey, wait!" he shouted as he noticed that Sour had begun trotting toward Acidic and Cluttered, the easel lagging a little behind the four of them. Everybody's just racist in the story. Why is everybody racist? Why is everybody racist? If I had a nickel for every time there's a racist pony in the story, I'd have 3 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's better to happen 3 times. Then they're trying to Cluttered's home. Cluttered and Acidic struck up a sort of awkward conversation about the city around them. Cluttered suggested places to visit, while Acidic just replied with, sure, I'll consider that. Sour and Sweet gave each other glances every once in a while, as Sour made sure Sweet hadn't fallen too far behind. About 20 minutes passed before the 4 of them finally reached Cluttered's house. Sour, Sweet, and Acidic seemed surprised at the condition of the house. Wood barricading the windows, and the front garden being very overgrown and unmaintained. It was thankfully away from most of the houses around it, so Sour, noticing that they were on top of a hill looking down at the beach below. They were on, so we moved up instead of away. Interesting, he said to himself, Sweet simply rolling his eyes and Clutter opening the door. When they got inside, oh no. Oh, it's next chapter, isn't it? It's next chapter, isn't it? Oh no. When they got inside, they got an immediate rotted smell. The house was a disaster. Mess everywhere. Plates from months-old food, broken decorations that were from many years past, and furniture lathered in dust. Lathered is a weird word to say in this context. The 3 caught glimpses of places in the house and saw that the room Cluttered entered was significantly tidier than the rest. A black armchair and a sofa, as well as an oak table within. "You call this a house?" he asked with a genuine surprise in his voice. "It's the best I could do. Don't mind the other rooms. Not like I need anything from them anyway," Cluttered responded. The trio looked at each other as they looked concerned to varying degrees. "Okay, now put the easel there," Cluttered then told Sweet as he pointed to the corner of the room. Sweet, after hearing this, used his magic to toss it into the corner. That's when Cluttered yelled out, "Don't damage it for..." Huh? Zionat's sake, he galloped over, hurrying toward the easel. "Do you have any ideas as to how much this cost me? This cost 200 ciens. Damn, bitch, you live like this? True. Also, I think next chapter is the cleaning chapter. I'm not happy. I am not a happy camper. He shrieked at the end. "What are you on about?" Sal asked in utter confusion. The other two sharing the same confusion. "Oh, don't tell me you don't know what a cien is. It's our currency." And Phone. Google. Pronounce. Where is it? Serenade. Serenade. Okay, serenade. That's how I'm gonna pronounce it. I don't know that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. Fuck you. You give me a dumbass word like that, I'm gonna pronounce it how I want. Oh, you're kidding, I can tell. Claude joked to himself whilst explaining and putting the easel up in the corner properly. When he turned around, he could tell that they were in fact not joking. You're seriously telling me you've never heard of these terms? At all? You flunked school? He didn't ask with a look of concern. This made the three in turn shake their heads in unison. It's a long story. Acidic simply said in return as he shuffled awkwardly. Oh no. It's setting up the cleaning. Well, I have time for a long story, Cluttered responded as he went into what looked like the kitchen of the house and then poked his head around the entrance. You three take a seat on there. I'll make us something to drink. Is tea good? He asked. They all nodded as they sat down on the sofa, and Sour simply asked, how are we gonna explain all this? Before Sweet looked out the window, noticing that the night had rolled in, the only light now coming from the kitchen, he used his magic to flick a switch on the wall, and the light shone somewhat an orangish white coming from the bulb. When Cluttered returned to the room, he had 4 cups of tea that he carried onto the table in front of them before he sat on the armchair adjacent to the sofa. So, give me the details. Why are you so clueless about the world around you? Cluttered asked as he picked up his cup of tea. The trio picking up their cups and beginning the long explanation from when they awoke on in the continent, finding out that this was indeed a continent to their current point in time. It took about an hour for the 3 of them to explain what had happened, or rather sound acidic. Sweet didn't speak much, but insulting in his prejudiced comments about Pegasus and elf ponies as he turned into when they entered the city. After hearing this, Cluttered took a long few moments to just sit and process everything. Did we break him? Sour asked Acidic as they paid Sweet no mind. Cluttered, who seemed to have caught on to the comment, responded with, no, I'm not. Well, it's all so much. 2 Alucons trying to kill you? Mines I've never heard of? A door inside? It just sounds like it was exhausting. That's how I feel reading this book. Before he put down his cup, yeah, it's a lot, Acidic replied with exhaustion and yawn hitting his voice. Dow continued the conversation as he could see that both Sweet and Acidic were growing tired, so we're basically looking for a spell or something to help us. To help us break the connection we have with each other in terms of what we told you about our feelings being connected. It's unusual, right? He asked Cluttered. Cluttered didn't seem to have even processed the question. In fact, it seemed like he had ignored it as he simply responded with, stay here, before the trio heard banging above them in the room above them. Banging above them in the room above them. There's, from what they could tell, my brain. I'm almost done. What was I? Why is the banging in the room? The trio had banging above them in the room above theirs from the room above theirs from what they could tell. Fiance. Sour acidic sour acidic ex sour and acidic exchanged looks of slight concern until Clutter came back, clutching blankets. Pick one. Tomorrow I need to hop to the Buck Grove Library. Oh, that's what this city's called, Sour injected. Never mind. Just pick a blanket. Clutter cut back in as he put them on the table. Is he alright? Clutter didn't ask Sour, pointing at Sweet. Sweet, who had first looked like he was just staring out of the window, had actually fallen asleep. Sour took a look at Acidic and they grabbed the blanket, throwing it over Sweet. Well, if you need a toilet, the bathroom is upstairs, right ahead of you, Clutter simply said as he trotted away, presumably to sleep, given the house remained silent once Sour and Acidic grabbed the blanket and fell asleep themselves. Before they did, Sour tried to apologize again, with Acidic just responding with, "We'll talk about it tomorrow," before they fell asleep. The next one is the cleaning one. I know it. I'm not happy. And at the same time, in the mountains far off to the north, in the northmost part of the continent, screams of pain could be heard from two familiar voices. Arcane and Dalsite, convinced that they had succeeded, they were quickly back-checked by a voice as they in fact found out that the three had survived. Arcane was the first to speak after they had been presumably hit with an unbearably long and concentrated with an unbearably long and concentrated spell. I'm not reading the name. Fuck that shit. I don't care. Please stop. We didn't mean to fail you. We just... Silence, the voice responded, hitting Arcane off completely. I should clip your wings for your failure. I should just rip them from your body. Be grateful that I don't. They then continued. We can attack them now if you'd like, Dallasite immediately responded as he seemed quick to want to please this voice. Attacking them now would be a stupid move. In addition, it would be cowardice, not unlike your style, Arcane. Sly and vicious, I thought you, however, Dallasite, would have a sense of honor at least, but perhaps after all these years, I was wrong. The voice interrupted. Should we try tomorrow? Dallasite then asked with fear in his voice. Perhaps. For now, just observe them. They managed to elude the pair of you, then perhaps it's not a lost cause to us. Perhaps he's still there. Hopefully. The voice then responded as they seemed to have left the place they were in. When the voice seemed to have left, Dallasite crawled over to Arcane, both of them extremely weak from the torture they had endured. Are you? I'm fine, Dallasite. Just get some rest. Do you need it? Arcane responded. His tone was dismissive of the purple alicorn as he looked out into the night sky from the cave they were in. Dallasite didn't try to interject as he laid on the stone-cold floor. He did, however, say one last thing to Arcane. We'll get him. And our country back, Arcane. We'll make sure of that. He said with hope in his voice. Arcane, however, ignored Dallasite. When he was sure he was asleep, Arcane simply ended said, "What? This guy sounds like an antagonist in my..." He said with hope in his voice. Arcane, however, ignored Dallasite. When he was sure he was asleep, Arcane simply said one thing before he called it a night for himself as well. It could be possible for now. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay. Learning that Covet was racist was peak, so this gets a 8 out of 10 because it made me laugh. it invoked an emotion from me, so it did better than the other chapters. Therefore, it's not an 8. It's actually a 7 out of 10. It invoked an emotion from me. Not the emotion the author probably meant, but it invoked an emotion from me. Oh.
Oh, thank Crimson we're here.
I don't like that. We're not gonna do that anymore. Love that. Well, let's see the next chapter. Let's see if I'm right. I'm not gonna read it today, but let's see if I'm right. Let's just randomly go down. Let's just go right here. No! No! It's the chapter. No! No! No. Okay. The last the last one got a, what was it, 7 out of 10 because it made me laugh. Actually, it's probably a 6 out of 10 because we start off baseline being 5. This is probably a 6 out of 10 because it made me laugh. I have issues with how it's written still. I have issues with how every chapter is written, but that's par for the course at this point. I have no major complaints. Everything was alright. I like the synchronized pain aspect of it. That's how it should be when in stories like this. Like in HSR, for example, the fact that Dan Hong and Bailu don't feel each other's, don't have a connection to each other like this is annoying to me, even though they have essentially the split soul of somebody in them. But yeah, this chapter was alright. It was a little bit better than the first one because it made me laugh. It wasn't that much better. This is what we read next. This is what we read next time. It won't be tomorrow because tomorrow's recording day because I'm recording with my friend. It'll be soon. I'm gonna end the stream now. I'll see y'all later. Bye.